Hello there. Tonight I'd like to take you with me to spend a long, slow afternoon in a little village called Cora, perched high on the cliffs of Folegandros, one of the smaller, quieter islands of the Greek Cyclades. People have lived up here for more than 2,000 years, building their sugar cube houses well back from the cliff edge to hide from pirates on the sea below. The lanes are narrow and whitewashed, the doors and shutters painted a deep sea blue, and the Aegean lies far beneath, glittering in the late honey gold light. Oh, and by the way, if you'd like an even better way to listen to our stories, you might want our app. It's called Tonight. You choose the voice that reads to you and what plays softly underneath. A little rain, a crackling fire, the ocean, on their own or all together. You can also set a timer and your phone drifts off when you do. It's a free download. The link's just below this video. Take a moment now to settle. Close your eyes if you'd like to. Place a hand on your stomach if it feels good, and take a slow, deep breath all the way down. Feel the belly rise, and a long, slow breath out. Thyme and salt drift on the air, and somewhere up the slope, the slow knock of a goat bell. You have stepped off a small ferry onto the stone quay of Caravostasis. This is the only proper harbour on the island of Folegandros, a long, thin island in the southern Greek Cyclades, well west of Santorini and out of its shadow. The harbour curls in a small arc around pale, clear water. A few kayaks are tied along the wall, blue and white, white and red, with their names painted in Greek script along their bows. Low buildings sit back from the water, washed in white, with shutters the colour of a deep summer sea. The afternoon is hot. The meltemi, the dry north wind that combs through these islands in summer, is only a suggestion today. The light is honey warm and slants across the flagstones. You walk to the edge of the quay. The water there is clear enough to see the round stones on the bottom and the slow drift of small fish among them. A diesel engine, somewhere out in the bay, goes quiet and stops. A halyard taps once against a mast and is still. The water laps slowly against the stones beneath your feet. Behind you, a small cafe has set out a few wooden chairs in the shade of a tamarisk tree. The leaves of the tamarisk are feathery and thin, and they barely move. A radio on a windowsill is playing something old, very low. The smell of coffee, the thick kind, boiled in a small brass pot, drifts out from inside. A grey cat lies stretched on the warm flagstones in the shade of the doorway. You stand for a while and do nothing. The ferry has gone out of sight around the headland. The harbour wall is warm from the day. The goat bell sounds again, further off than before. A little farther along the wall, a fisherman has spread a net out on the stones to dry. You don't look at him directly. You shift your attention to the net. It's pale, the colour of bone, and very long. It has been laid out in a long oval on the warm flagstones, with small white floats along one edge and small lead weights along the other. The man sits at one end of it, on a low wooden stool, with the bunched end of the net across his knees. Beside him, on the stones, are a small plastic bottle of water and a small tin of nails he is using for nothing in particular, only to weight down a corner of the net against the breeze. He is in no hurry. He works one square at a time. His hands move slowly. He runs his fingers along the edge of the netting, feeling for the small tears that the morning's catch will have opened. When he finds one, he pauses. He turns the net slightly so the tear catches the light. He looks at it for a moment, carefully. Then he begins to mend. He has a small wooden shuttle of a kind that fishermen here have used for a very long time. It is no bigger than the length of his palm, a flat piece of pale wood with a slot cut down its center and the twine wound onto it. He passes the shuttle through the loop nearest the tear and pulls a length of twine through. He does this slowly. The twine moves with a small, crisp sound across the netting. When the twine is through, he holds the loop with one finger and pulls a knot tight. The knot is small and neat. He has tied this knot many thousands of times. He does not look at his hands while he ties it. He moves the shuttle to the next loop, through and across, and the loop pulled tight again. The shuttle goes under, around, and through. A small knot, a small breath. The next loop. The rhythm is steady and the rhythm is slow. A fly settles on the warm stone beside him. He does not notice. The radio from the cafe is playing very quietly. The water laps once against the harbour wall. The shuttle goes through again. When the tear has closed, he runs his hand along the new patch. It looks like the rest of the net. He cannot quite tell, even now, where the tear used to be. He shifts a little on his stool. He moves the net across his knees. He begins to look for the next tear. This is the work of a long afternoon. He finds a tear slowly, then the shuttle and the knot and the next loop. The net moves slowly across his lap as he works. Around him, a halyard taps somewhere against a mast. A cat walks slowly along the wall. The small boats rock against their fenders. He stops, after a while, to drink water from the plastic bottle. He drinks slowly. He puts the bottle down on the stones. He returns to the net. Through and across and tight. Through and across and tight. At one point, a small length of dried seaweed has caught in one of the loops. He picks it out with his fingers. He drops it onto the stones beside him. He returns to the work. A small fishing boat comes in slowly across the harbour. A friend of his, perhaps. The man on the boat raises one hand. The fisherman on the wall raises one hand in return. Neither says anything. The boat moves slowly toward an empty space along the wall, and the engine fades to nothing. A gull lands on the stones a few steps from him. It stands on one foot, then both, then walks slowly along the edge of the net, looking. The fisherman does not look up. The gull walks on. The shadow of the harbour wall has been moving slowly across the stones as the afternoon turns. It has not reached him yet. When it does, he will move his stool, perhaps, or move the net. For now there is sun, and the work, and the knot. You watch for a long time. The net is so long, and the tears so small, that the work has no clear end. He works steadily, without hurry. After a while, you walk on. A narrow road climbs from the harbour up the side of the cliff in long, slow zigzags. You take it on foot. There is a bus that runs this road, an old one with a Greek route number painted in blue on its front, but on a day like this, the road is better walked. The road has been cut into the rock. On one side it rises in a low wall of pale stone with small dry plants in the cracks. Time the herb you smelled at the harbour, and a small yellow flower whose name you don't know. On the other side it falls away to the sea below, in low, scrubby slopes the colour of toasted bread. You walk slowly. The grade is gentle. At each bend the harbour falls a little further beneath you, and the water spreads out a little wider, paler at the edges, darker at its centre. A donkey is tied in the shade of an olive tree just off the road. He looks up at you as you pass. He does not move. His tail flicks once at a fly. The bell at his neck does not sound. There is a small bag of cut grass beside him. He has been left in the cool spot for the worst of the day's heat. A little farther on, you pass a small whitewashed shrine set into the rock wall. It is no taller than your knee. Inside it, behind a small glass door, are an icon of the Panagia in faded blue and red, and a candle in a glass cup, and a small bunch of dried wild flowers. You have seen many of these on Greek roads. You walk on. The cicadas are loud in the olive trees on the slopes below the road. They do not stop. You stop noticing them after a while, and then you notice them again. At a high bend in the road, the wind picks up a little. It is cool here, off the sea. You smell salt and dry stone, and very faintly the diesel of a far-off boat. The harbour is small now beneath you. You can see the fisherman still bent over his net. You can see the tamarisk tree and one corner of the white cafe. A single piece of laminated paper is taped to a stone at this bend. A printed notice in Greek with a phone number along the bottom, the edges curling a little in the heat. You cannot read it. You walk on. The road bends around the side of the cliff. The harbour goes out of sight. There is only the road and the dry slopes and the sea. A little farther on, the road levels. Houses begin, first one, then two, then a low cluster of them on either side of the way. They are sugar cube houses, the kind you have seen in postcards. Square, whitewashed, single story, with doors and shutters painted a deep blue, or sometimes a strong green. The doorways are framed with whitewash, and the lines between the flagstones in front of them are whitewashed too. Someone refreshes these lines every spring. You step in among the houses. The road becomes a lane, and the lane narrows, and the white walls close around you. The heat falls a little. The cicadas grow softer, muffled by stone. The lane opens after a few turns into a small square. The square is shaded by two old plane trees. They are large for this island, and their broad leaves move only slightly. Beneath them are a few small wooden tables painted blue and a few chairs. A cafenian sits along one side of the square, an old cafe, the kind with a glass counter and a row of bottles and a single coffee machine. Its door is open. An older man sits at one of the tables. He has a small glass of clear liquid in front of him, ouzo perhaps, or tsipuro, and a small dish of olives and a glass of water. He is not drinking. He is looking at nothing in particular. His hands are folded on the table. Two cats are asleep beneath another table. Across the square is a small church, white-walled with a deep blue dome. a colour that almost matches the shutters of the houses. Its bell is silent. A row of bougainvillea has been planted along the wall beside it. The flowers are the bright pink kind, very thick, very loud against the white. You sit down at a table in the shade. After a while, a woman comes from inside the cafenian with a small brass tray. She sets a glass of water on the table and a tiny cup of coffee and a small square of lucumi on a saucer beside the coffee. She does not ask if you want anything. "From the spring," she says, "up the hill." You nod. She goes back inside. The water is cold. It tastes of cool stone. The coffee is the thick boiled kind. You wait, as you have learned to, for the grounds to settle to the bottom of the cup. Then you sip from the top. It is bitter and sweet at the same time. The lucumi is rose water dusted with sugar. You sit there for a long time. The plane trees move only a little. The old man at the other table does not look up. A child runs across the square on bare feet and disappears down a lane, calling something to someone you cannot see. After a while you stand up. You leave a few coins on the table. The woman waves from inside the cafenian. You walk on. The lanes of the Hora are narrow. They are not laid out on any plan. They wind and they branch, and they come sometimes to a small set of steps, and sometimes a small dead-end courtyard, and sometimes a small unexpected square with another church in it. You stop trying to keep track. You walk where the lanes take you. The houses are close together, but there is space between them all the same. Stone steps lead up to blue doors. Stone benches sit beside other doors with thin cushions on them. Terracotta pots stand on the steps and on the windowsills. Geraniums mostly, red and pink, and basil in flat round pots, and one tall pot of mint by an open kitchen door. The basil is the kind with very small leaves, sharply green. You can smell it as you pass. Laundry is drying on a line strung between two windows above the lane. A white sheet, 2 blue shirts, 3 pairs of socks pegged in a row. The sheet moves a little. The shirts barely move. A broom is leaning against a wall, its bristles slightly bent from sweeping. A small green plastic dustpan is propped beside it. The doorway just beyond has been swept. The doorway just inside has not yet. In one small square you find a wall fountain, a stone spout in the side of a building with a thin, steady stream running into a low basin. The water is clear. A small green plastic bucket sits on the step beneath it. You drink from your hand. The water is colder than the air. You wipe your mouth with the back of your hand. A grey cat is asleep on the step beside the fountain. She has been there long enough that the sun has shifted across her. Her ears flick once. She does not open her eyes. You walk on. The lane brings you after a while to a small shop. It is not really a shop. It is the front room of a house with one small window onto the lane and a wooden door propped open with a flat stone. Inside there are shelves of jars and bags and bottles. Honey in plain jars, capers in salt, olive oil in dark green bottles, dried oregano in cellophane bags. A small refrigerator with the door slightly open, humming softly. A woman is sitting on a low chair just inside the door. Her name, you will hear later, is Maria. She is older, in a faded dark dress, with a grey cardigan over her shoulders, even in the heat. She is breaking up a paximadi, a hard, twice-baked barley rusk, into smaller pieces, into a bowl on her lap. She looks up as you come to the doorway. She gestures to the shelves with the back of her hand. "Look, look," she says. "Take your time." You step inside. The room smells of dried oregano and of stone, and of something faintly sweet. The honey, perhaps. You look at the jars. The honey is the dark kind, the kind the bees make from thyme. The label is handwritten. "Thyme honey," Maria says without looking up. "From the hill." You pick up a small jar. It is warm from the shelf. She breaks off a corner of the paximadi from her bowl and holds it out to you. With her other hand, she dips a small wooden spoon into a jar she has on the floor beside her and drizzles a little honey across the rusk. "Try," she says. You take it. The rusk is hard at first. The honey softens it slowly in your mouth. The honey tastes of warm stone and of small flowers. You stand there in the doorway for a moment with the taste in your mouth. You tell her it is very good. She nods. She goes back to her bowl. You buy a small jar of the honey and a small bag of dried oregano and put them in the cloth bag at your shoulder. Maria counts the change out slowly into your palm. The coins are warm. "Up to the Panagia?" she says, nodding her chin upward in the direction of the hill. "Beautiful." You nod. You step out of the shop, back into the lane. The path up to Panagia begins at the edge of the Hora. It is a wide stone path paved with pale flagstones that climbs the hill above the village in long, gentle zigzags. The church sits at the top. The hill is bare. There are no trees on it. There is only thyme and low rock and the path and the white walls of the church far above. At the foot of the path stands a small wooden cross. The wood is old and grey from the sun. You begin to walk up. The path is steady. Each zigzag is short and the grade gentle. Old women have walked this path in long, dark dresses for many years. You can see why they have made it the shape it is. The thyme is in flower along the side of the path, small, pale purple flowers, low to the ground, on woody grey-green stems. You bend and break a small sprig of it between your fingers. The smell comes up strong. You hold it to your nose. It is the smell of the whole hillside. You have been walking through it all afternoon, and only now do you put a name to it. A goat bell sounds somewhere off the path. You can't see the goat. The bell is low and slow. It sounds and stops, and after a while sounds again. Your breath has become deeper. Your shoulders have softened. You walk on. At the third bend of the path, you pause to look back. The Hora is laid out below you now, a small white and blue cluster of houses on the edge of the cliff with the deep sea beyond. From here, the lanes look like one small white maze. You can see the 2 plane trees in the square. You can see the bougainvillea against the wall of the church. You can see, very far below, the small harbour of Karavostasis, and the tamarisk tree, and what may still be the fisherman bent over his net. You walk on. There is a tradition on this island that its name comes from a son of King Minos of Crete, called Folegandros, who is said to have settled here long ago. Whether or not it is true, the name has been the same for many centuries. You think of the name as you walk. Then you stop thinking of anything in particular. The path turns. The church grows nearer. You can see now the small flagstone terrace in front of it, and the white domes and the small bell tower with its single bell. The bell on the bell tower is silent. You reach the terrace and step onto the flagstones. The terrace is small, with a low white wall around its edge. A single olive tree grows beside the church in a square of dry earth. It is old. Its trunk is twisted and grey. The door of the church stands open. Inside it is cool and dark, and smells of beeswax and of the dust of old plaster. There is a small altar at the far end, and a few icons on the walls in faded gilt frames, and a small brass stand with a tray of pale sand on it for candles. 2 candles are burning. The sand has small black marks in it from candles that burned out earlier. You stand inside for a few moments. The church is quiet. You can hear the wind outside very faintly and the small sound of the candles burning. You step out again. On the terrace, the view is wide. You can see most of the island from here, the long ridge of it stretching east toward the cliffs, the lower slopes falling away to the west, the small white village beneath you, and the sea on both sides. The sea is a deep blue, with a paler band along the horizon where the heat haze sits. A low stone bench leans against one of the white walls. You sit down on it. The stone is warm. A small lizard runs along the white wall beside you, stops, runs again, and disappears into a crack in the plaster. A bee passes close to your ear and goes off down the hill toward the time. The light is beginning to turn. It is later than you thought. The sun has slipped further down the western sky, and the white walls have gone from a clean, cool white to a softer, warm one. The shadows are longer. The sea has gone a little darker in its middle and a little lighter at its edges. You sit there for a long time. The wind moves over the terrace and across the warm flagstones and is gone. A donkey brays somewhere far down the hill. The sound carries up clearly through the still air and then is gone. The goat bell sounds again, lower down now and closer to the village. You are just here, on the warm bench with the wide sea below you. Your hands are resting in your lap. After a while you stand. The bench has warmed the backs of your legs. You turn and look once more at the small white church and at the olive tree and at the open door. Then you begin to walk down. The path looks different now going down. The light is warmer and the shadows are different. The time along the path looks softer. The bells of the goats are nearer. They are being brought in for the evening from the higher slopes. You take the turns slowly. There is no need to hurry. A man with a stick passes you on the path going up. He has 2 goats with him, both small and brown, with wide, soft horns and pale bells around their necks. He nods at you. You nod back. He is wearing an old grey shirt and dark trousers and dusty leather shoes. The goats step around your feet without looking at you. They walk on. You walk on too, downward, hearing the bells fade behind you. A little farther down you pass an older woman climbing the path. She is in a long dark dress with a black scarf over her head. She is carrying a small bunch of dried wild flowers in one hand and a glass jar in the other. She is going up to the Panagia to leave them. She does not stop. She walks slowly, evenly, with the ease of long habit. You walk down, past her, past the same low rocks and thyme bushes. The sound of the harbour has begun to come up the hillside very faintly, the slow knock of boats against their moorings, and a single voice calling something across the water. When you come back into the lanes of the Chora, the light is honey-coloured. The white walls have gone a soft gold, and the blue doors and shutters have gone a deeper blue. The lanes are cooler now, and the geraniums on the windowsills look richer in colour. You can smell cooking. From one open door comes the smell of garlic and lemon. From another, the smell of fish frying in oil. From a third, the smell of bread. You don't go looking for any of it. You just walk through the lanes and the smells drift past you. A small bell rings somewhere. It is not a goat bell. It is a small hand bell, the kind that hangs by a door. A door closes softly. You walk back toward the square with the plane trees. The Caphenian has put out more chairs. A few people are sitting at them now. 2 old men at one table with a backgammon board between them. A younger couple at another with a small carafe of wine. A single woman with a book on her knee. The cats are still under the table. They have not moved all afternoon. You sit down at a table in the corner. The woman from the Caphenian brings you another small glass of water from the spring. She brings a small carafe of wine, pale and cold, the colour of straw, and a small dish of olives, and a small plate of fried chickpeas. You eat slowly and drink slowly. The light goes from honey to amber to rose. The white walls hold the colour for a while and then begin to let it go. The plane trees are dark now against the deepening sky. The bougainvillea is dark too, almost black at the edges, with its pink flowers still showing in the middle. The old men at the other table move pieces across the backgammon board. The pieces tap softly on the wood. The men talk a little. Their voices are low. A small lamp has been lit inside the Caphenian. Its light falls across the doorway into the square. You sit there for a long while. Your wine glass is half full. The olives are still on the small dish. When the rose light has gone from the walls, you stand up and leave a few coins on the table. You step out of the square. You do not go back the way you came. You walk a few lanes over to a place where the houses end and the cliff begins. There is a low white wall at the edge of the village. Beyond it, the slope falls away into the dark, and beyond the slope, the sea. The sea is the deepest blue now, almost black at the horizon, almost violet closer in. A single star has come out above the water. There may be more. You lean against the wall. The stone is still warm from the day. The breeze off the sea has cooled a little. It carries the smell of thyme up the slope, and the smell of salt, and very faintly the smell of someone's evening fire from down in the harbour. A goat bell sounds once far below, and then is quiet. The lights of the harbour are on now. They are small and yellow, like a row of small fires along the curl of the wall. You can see very faintly the white side of one of the caiques, and a single light burning in the cafe under the tamarisk tree. Somewhere in the village behind you, a door closes. A spoon taps on the rim of a pot. A voice calls a single word. Low laughter. You stay at the wall a long time. The sky deepens. The single star is joined by another, and then another. The sea has gone quiet. Your breath is slow now. Your shoulders are easy. Your hands are warm against the stone. The lanes behind you are quiet. The church bell does not ring. It is silent for the night. A little farther down the slope, the last goat bell sounds. And then there is only the soft hush of the sea against the rocks far below. Just the time, just the salt, just the small warm wall, and the slow, quiet island.